What is up, my friends? My name is Echo. Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk to you about Call of Dragons and the state of the game. Specifically, why is it not yet beginning to overtake Rise of Kingdoms? I started this channel because I really liked Call of Dragons. I liked how it was mixing up the whole kingdom builder scene and a lot of the new things that they were bringing. Initially, I really liked Seasons and that it was a good feeling of free-to-play players, low spenders would have an easier time competing with higher spenders. A lot of things have changed over the past 6 months inside of the game, a lot of it for good, and clearly the developers are trying to make this game the best kingdom builder out there, competing with some of the bigger ones, like Rise of Kingdoms. But as you can see on this chart right now, Call of Dragons being red, Rise of Kingdoms being blue, and yellow is Diablo Immortal. Because you guys know I have another channel for Diablo Immortal, I figured I'd kind of throw it in the mix. As you could see, when Call of Dragons launched, it spiked above Rise of Kingdoms. But that was very short-lived, and it had a very quick decline. Now, I will say that this happens with so many games. Should we take a look at something else? Let's take a look at Diablo 4 if we want to talk about quick declines. Now, first of all, Diablo 4 makes all of these mobile titles very small in comparison. They're all down there. They're just much less popular. But take a look at the massive decline of Diablo 4. So I want to put out there that it's not abnormal for something like this to happen. It happens with most games. But with this being said, the decline right off the bat, off launch, is normal. But why is the game not trending upward over time to kind of at least meet Rise of Kingdoms? If there's so many features inside of Call of Dragons that, at least in my opinion, are better than Rise of Kingdoms, why isn't the game starting to overtake in popularity, in player base? Because in my opinion, from graphics to combat and just the overall player experience, I enjoy it in Call of Dragons more than I do in Rise of Kingdoms. With this being said, Rise of Kingdoms is still a great kingdom builder. And I think part of the issue here is that it has a massive player base. And what's something when you're a player of a kingdom builder? A game where it's not abnormal to spend a decent amount of money inside of the game. I spent a couple of $100 inside of Call of Dragons. And when you're thinking about players that maybe even invest more than that, which is probably a lot of people, it's hard to just drop the game and move to another one. But not only that, it's not only about money. Let's talk about free-to-play players for a minute. If you're a free-to-play player that's been grinding Rise of Kingdoms for 2 years, putting in that hard work, doing all the events, participating in everything so that you could try your best to make an account that's viable in the game, it's very difficult to pull that player away from the game that they put all that work into to just have them go on to a better game. Because to them, one, maybe it's not better. Two, even if it is better, do they want to redo all that work? And three, they're invested in that game. Actually, it's probably worth noting that the free-to-play players and really low spenders, they may even have a harder time leaving the game than some of the whales. Because if you're a whale inside of the game, you may have the funds to just whale out on another game as well. But time versus money, it's a whole nother discussion. Now, with that being said, if someone's willing to spend $20, $30, $40,000 on a mobile game, there's a good chance that they have a passion, a love for playing that game. Maybe they don't want to leave it, even if something better comes out as well. The point here that I'm getting at is whether you are a free-to-play player or a whale inside of the game, it's very hard to pull a committed player that loves a game off of that game to play another one of the same genre, even if the other one is better. Now, typically with games that offer seasons, you see spikes in popularity each time a season comes. And you could kind of see that from the graph right here. Again, red being Call of Dragons, we are seeing small spikes, but the spikes aren't massive. The spikes are small and then drop-offs again, small and then drop-offs again. Why is this? Does the same thing happen when we look at Diablo 3 that has seasons? Let's take a look. Now, this is actually quite interesting because Diablo 3 has been out for like 10 years and it does have spikes that come and go. Some of these spikes have something to do with Diablo 4 being launched, and other spikes have to do with new seasons being launched inside of the game. A spike, a drop-off. A spike, and a drop-off. But is there a difference between the seasons that are happening inside of a game like Diablo 3 versus the seasons that happen inside of Call of Dragons? And to be honest, I think that for some players, the re-grinding got to them in Call of Dragons. I know that for me, let's be honest, I was a casual player inside of the game. I put time into the game, but I was not one of the die-hard people that was at every event all the time, dropping life to participate. Remember, I'm rocking 4 YouTube channels right now. I have a full-time job, kids, and a wife. I can't do that. In the beginning, I tried my best. It was actually summertime as well, so I had a little bit more freedom, but it became very difficult to participate in all this stuff all the time. And when you have to grind as well every season, it was a lot more stuff that I felt was, I don't want to say unnecessary, but something I just didn't want to do. Now things have changed and that's all been different now. Maybe there were a lot of people that were feeling the same way. Obviously, there's benefits to it and there's a downside to it. I talked to Mr. Sneaky about it in an interview about a month ago, and he wasn't a fan of a bunch of the things that were happening inside of the game. And I get it. His points were right on point. And to be honest, he's a diehard inside of the game. I'm not. I'm a casual guy that enjoys the game. I enjoy the heroes. I enjoy the gameplay because I do enjoy kingdom builders. So what are the things that make a season pop? New heroes, new lands, new battles, new events. And Call of Dragons does all of this stuff. But the question remains, will it ever overtake the behemoth, Rise of Kingdoms? I think that it could. Again, if we look at the graph really quickly, Rise of Kingdoms has been on a downcline as well. The game's been around for a while. And at some point, when you have Rise of Kingdoms here, Call of Dragons here, and a bunch of new players, they're gonna choose which one looks like a cooler game to play. In my opinion, that's Call of Dragons. So over time, you should see a slow uptick in Call of Dragons and a slow downtick in Rise of Kingdoms as newer players come in and the older player base decides to move on, gets more casual, sells their accounts, does whatever they do when they decide to stop playing the game. Or maybe Rise of Kingdoms is going to put more additions to the game, enhance graphics to make it a new presentation, and maintain that top spot. And to be honest with you, either scenario, we're in a good position. Rise of Kingdoms is a fantastic game. Call of Dragons is also a fantastic game. They both do so many things right, and they both, in my opinion, are the top 2 kingdom builders on mobile. So now's the point where I ask you a question, and I'm gonna be looking in the comments to see what you have to say. I'm assuming you're a Call of Dragons or Rise of Kingdoms player. Down below, let me know which game you play, if not both, and how long you've specifically been playing each one. I really want to know how many of you watching this have been playing Call of Dragons since day one, and how many of you watching this are brand new to Rise of Kingdoms. Those are the 2 things that are really interesting to me and that'll help me understand the graph that we've been talking about so much here today. But to be honest, again, I think we're in a great position. Call of Dragons, still getting regular updates. It has positive cash flow, which means they're making enough money to continuously update the game to bring us new events. I think that the cross-server behemoth battles are the best thing. Being that I could play with friends wherever they may be makes the game so much more fun. I've always felt that games that have servers and you have to choose your server and then you can't interact with anyone else, it's difficult. It doesn't always feel good. So the more cross-server events that we have inside of Call of Dragons, the better off things are going to be, and the more enjoyable it's going to be for everyone playing the game, specifically because these communities are small. You got a lot of small communities of people in different servers that have crossover, and sometimes you want to play with friends that don't live right next door. I think that Call of Dragons has the game that it takes to be the best. They just need to do something to get that spark to make them jump and be shown for what they actually are, that it's actually an amazing kingdom builder. And I hope that that does happen. I think we're just on a slow grind right here, and over time, that progression will happen, and Call of Dragons is gonna be in a great position. When someone asks me, I'm looking for a strategy game, a kingdom builder, one with war, any of those requests, the game that I recommend is Call of Dragons, and I think a lot of other people would do the same.